Gary Neville, welcome to Granada Reports. So, tell me about this new scheme. Who are you aiming it at?
We're aiming it at young people, 17 to 20, who have been eligible for free school meals, who would ordinarily think that they might not have the choice to go to university. It's a support package put in place by UA92 and its partners that gives free travel for 3 years to those students. It gives a laptop and unlimited data, and it also gives free, if you like, lunches, which is some things that some of the obstacles that are in the way of young people choosing to go to university.
And do you think that's a particular problem in the Northwest?
It's a problem in the Northwest, but not just in the Northwest, all over the country in sort of the hardest hit areas. We know at this moment in time there is a sort of debate around heating or eating, and families are having to make those real difficult choices, which I'm ashamed of being in a country that still means that families have to make those choices.
And this is all against a backdrop of universal credit, the uplift being taken away, isn't it?
Universal credit uplift has been taken away. Apparently it was a temporary uplift to deal with the economic problems brought on by COVID, but as far as I can see, those economic problems haven't ended, so I don't know why the universal credit has been taken away. It's a ridiculous decision at this moment in time, at the point where we're just starting to come out of a pandemic and restrictions have been lifted in the last few months. However, I think my reliance upon government to do the right thing around these things is lost. That's my own personal opinion. However, what we can do in the private sector and in other institutions is do our very best, and I think that's what we're trying to do here, is to put packages in place which support young people and gives them the option to go to university. Like I say, I can't believe I'm saying that, because it should be the choice of everybody. You shouldn't be dependent upon your postcode as to whether you get a high quality education or access to education.
Why is it that it's up to footballers to be telling us things like this? I mean, we've seen Marcus Rashford speaking out on free school meals, haven't we? Well,
I think football players in the last couple of years have been brought to the forefront because the government decided to enter football. You know, Matt Hancock at the start of the pandemic said footballers needed to do more. I think that Priti Patel...
And was that fair?
Well, it's not fair, is it? Because footballers do an awful lot, and I think they actually found that out to their sort of what would be a regret, I suspect, in taking on Marcus Rashford over school meals. The same with the knee in the summer with Priti Patel and Boris Johnson saying they're condoning the booing of the knee. If you think about just generally what's happened in the last 12 to 18 months, footballers, great work has come to the fore. Football players are from Dudley, Barrow, Bury, Urmston, Eccles. They're not from Knightsbridge or Hampstead. They're grounded people whose families still live in those areas, and they have got compassion and empathy. And ordinarily they do one thing that politicians don't do, which is when they do make a mistake, which we do, they put their hand up and say, look, I got that one wrong. So
but people would say that you lead a very privileged lifestyle.
We do. We absolutely do lead a privileged life, but we didn't come from a privileged background. We ended up being able to follow our dreams, make it to the top in football, and then we're able to still think that everyone in this country deserves the right to access to good education, good healthcare, and good transport, feel safe, good job, house over the head of high quality. We can believe those things and still be in a privileged position. We weren't in a privileged position for the first 15, 16, 17 years of our lives.
I've often wondered what it was about your early start in particular, because the Neville family obviously produced 3 of our leading sports characters, if you like. Yeah, as if you didn't know. So where did that come from?
I think a sporting family. We grew up in a sporting family. Our parents taking us to hockey, netball, rounders, football, cricket continuously.
Because you're great at cricket. It could have been cricket that you went for.
Philip definitely could have played cricket, but even now when I see the work that
But your dad was a great cricketer as well.
My dad played cricket really well. My mum played rounders, plays netball still at the age of 71. When I see now what my sister and my mum are doing with my 2 girls at the age of 11 and 12, they play netball 4 or 5 times a week. I can't get any time with them because they're always playing netball, and that's what we've been brought up in that type of family, aligned with a work ethic that means we do our very best every day and we don't give in, and that comes from not just our parents but also from the exposure to great mentors like Sir Alex Ferguson, Roy Keane, Peter Schmeichel, Eric Cantona, Mark Hughes. We've been exposed to really good people, and at UA92 we do give our students personal coaches. We believe that we have to look after their personality and character and try and help them become more resilient, and at that point then their hard work and their, I suppose in some ways, their ability to keep going will mean that they will be successful.
You're never scared of speaking out on politics, are you?
Last 2 years, no, because politics decided to enter into football by criticising football players for basically a lack of work or a lack of of application or what they're doing. And to me, I mean, for that government to take on football players means that I think football players and footballers in general have fought back.
Do you think it's easy, though, sometimes to snipe from the sidelines? And actually, you obviously do care very passionately about politics. What about Gary Neville as Prime Minister?
No, I don't think Gary. I don't think that's something that's really ever entered my head.
A lot of people on social media seem to think it'd be a good idea. You and Marcus Rashford.
I also get called a champagne socialist as well on social media, and I don't mind that tag, to be honest with you, because the idea of champagne, my interpretation of that is that I've done well and that I enjoy the good things in life. My interpretation of socialism is that I believe that other people deserve that right and the opportunity to have the right to those good things. So for me, I never shy away from what I'm called on social media, but for Prime Minister, no, I don't think. I mean, politics would eat me up, wouldn't it? Because the reality of it is I don't fit the Westminster Whitehall set.
But that might be a good thing.
A good thing for who? For them to eat me up?
No, what I mean is that it would break the mould.
No, I don't. Look, at this moment in time, you know, you say that I'm sniping from the sidelines. You know, we have 600 people working in our businesses in Greater Manchester. We love Greater Manchester. We invest in this area because we love it. We do projects that have hopefully a good meaning to them, and we give young people an opportunity, whether it be through the football club or whether it be through the university. And we want to concentrate on those things in the next 2 or 3 years before we start concentrating on political careers.
But if you say someone like Boris doesn't get it, then, and someone like you does, aren't you the people that we need in politics?
I didn't say I did, I just said that he doesn't. I mean, I don't know anybody like Boris. I don't think anybody in Greater Manchester knows anybody like Boris. How he connects and wins voters in our communities, I don't know. Well, I do know, because he's talked to them on issues that, to be fair, like immigration, Brexit, you know, jobs for English people. However, I grew up in a dressing room with Eric from France and Cristiano from Portugal and Patrice from France and, you know, different people, Nemanja from Serbia, all people around the world, and we actually weren't separate. We were together, we were a team, and we had aligned goals. Even though we had very different backgrounds, very different upbringings, we were successful together because we had a leader who promoted unity, not division. And so for me, I feel that when I see division being promoted, and I'm not talking about political division between an idea of left or right, I'm talking about breaking up the team in this country. We should look after Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, but we should also look after the regions of the Northwest, Northeast, and the Southeast and Southwest as well, equally, and we should look after one another, and that is the team. And I don't believe Boris Johnson or Rees-Mogg or Raab or Patel, I don't believe they think of this country as being one team. And I don't also believe that when one of our team gets injured, which happens in football, you rehabilitate that person, you look after them, you support them, and you get them back on the pitch. I believe that there is a feeling that they look after each other, they look after their own, and they don't look after, and that's, I'm privileged. I look after myself and I look after my family, but I also like to think that I do as much as I possibly can for other people and think about other people as well.
You talk about football. I know that you have talked out on the Super League and talking about actually having regulation to stop the top clubs breaking away. Should we need that?
We do need it, because over the last 18 months, the Premier League clubs have twice tried to break free through Project Big Picture and the European Super League, and we've still got Barcelona, Real Madrid and Juventus telling us openly that the Super League's still going to happen. And we have to make sure, you know, football clubs are the heart and pillars of community. Football, like education, like access to good healthcare, should be accessible to all. And football clubs have become a little bit disconnected. As great as the Premier League is at this moment in time, we have to work within boundaries, because football clubs are businesses, but they shouldn't be treated like businesses. They should be treated like listed buildings. You can't go and knock down a listed building or a protected asset like a building of great importance without asking permission to do so. And there is regulation in place to stop it, and football clubs are listed buildings or listed assets in my view.
But can you believe that we've got to a point where we're talking about having to have regulation to stop that, that it's not just in people's hearts?
I can believe it, because I've benefited from the Premier League and the riches of the Premier League and the international investment, and owners who are not in it just for community and football reasons. They're in it for investment and marketing reasons, and I get that. I'm not against stopping capitalism. You can be capitalist and still demonstrate compassion and empathy, and I believe what they've done, we've got sort of what would be a capitalist game, which is fine. However, it's gone beyond the point of, you know, football clubs are the heart and pillars of community. Football, like education, like access to good healthcare, should be accessible to all. And football clubs have become a little bit disconnected. As great as the Premier League is at this moment in time, we have to work within boundaries, because football clubs are businesses, but they shouldn't be treated like businesses. They should be treated like listed buildings or protected assets in my view.
But can you believe that we've got to a point where we're talking about having to have regulation to stop the top clubs breaking away? Should we need that?
It's gone beyond the line in my mind in terms of sort of taking the game away and disconnecting it from the communities that it represents. So when you try and take away the ethos of the pyramid and take away promotion and relegation or access to a league, you are trying to create an elite game. That is not what we have in this country. So I'm all for competition, I'm all for investment into the league. I want a fairer game where every single person that supports a club feels as though they can afford to go in a stadium, but every single person in this country, child in this country, wants to take up football, has access to good facilities. There is enough money to do that. And I believe
all those United supporters who want to go and see Ronaldo play, it's just impossible.
But I'm for. The Premier League is amazing at this moment in time. We have such riches in terms of quality of the game, the finance in the game, and I've benefited from that. But can we distribute a little bit more money through the pyramid and into grassroots? I think we can. And that's my just genuine belief. And I feel as though that needs to happen, and it won't happen if we just leave football to what would be govern itself. We need regulation, and it just balance and checks so that people can basically come back within the boundaries and within the lanes that they need to stay in.
What's it like watching Ronaldo play? Does it make you wish that you were out there?
No, I don't wish I was out there. Watching Ronaldo play is a thing of joy. But do you know something, the last few weeks, because I still sometimes I have to take myself back. I'm 46 years of age, but when my dad took me to Old Trafford at the age of 5 and I walked up those steps on the concourse and I looked at that pitch and I saw those red shirts running out, I'm getting goosebumps now because it was magic to me. It makes me emotional actually thinking about that. And when I've seen kids in the last few weeks with their Ronaldo shirts on, when I've seen them dream about football, about how great he is, his work ethic combined with great quality and talent, it's wonderful, and I love it. And I love what's happened in the City because of it. I love what's happened in the Premier League because of it. And we should continue to enjoy great interventions like Ronaldo, Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp. They're great people to come into our leagues.
Your dad would be very proud of you hearing you talk like that, I think.
Oh, thank you very much.
You must miss him.
No, I do miss him. And, you know, he would be proud, but I genuinely think that also he lived his life to the full. And, you know, my view was that my dad would always die a little bit earlier because of the way in which he lived his life. I'm pragmatic around that. You know, he had a brilliant time. He lived his dream through, obviously, myself, my brother and my sister, you know, playing for England at netball and football and doing what we wanted to do. And, yeah, I'm sure he would be proud if he was watching us now.
You had extraordinary parents, didn't you?
Yeah, and my mum is absolutely incredible. Like I say, she's still playing netball now at the age of 71. She's incredible. My two girls absolutely adore her. They go around 2 or 3 times a week, and she's amazing with them. And like I say, we all have, you know, a lot of. I think Manchester has a great spirit. I think the people of Manchester and Greater Manchester have a great spirit. We look after one another, and my mum's one of those people, like many other people in this area.
So it's sad, though, getting back to what we're talking about, that other kids don't have that support, do they, sometimes?
We live in a society where, like I say, there are families choosing between food and having their heating on, and whether young people growing up in communities in Greater Manchester don't feel as though they've got a right or the ability to or access to higher education. And that's fundamentally wrong, because I generally always felt when I was younger that if I had a dream, I could follow it, and those dreams are being taken away just because of the postcode and where you're born.
And interesting now, Marcus Rashford's social care policy, if you like, being taught at GCSE.
Yeah, and I think that's what we need to see. We need to see basically great work that has been put in place by whoever it is. Marcus Rashford's a football player, a young football player from Manchester, but we're now seeing his work rewarded and now being integrated into education, into curriculum. As should diversity and inclusion be included in education and in curriculum. As should tolerance of people and teamwork and leadership be included in education. It is at UA 92, but these are for me the greatest sort of challenges in sort of society nowadays. We've had such division over the last few years, particularly with things like Brexit. We do need to come back together, and we need to promote unity and teamwork rather than division and being separate and us over there and them over there.
And how many kids do you want to come forward for your new scheme?
As many as possible that basically fit within the criteria. Absolutely. From our point of view, we've got to make sure...
Like thousands?
Well, it's not going to happen that, because at the moment we've got 400 students in our university. We've only just taken our 3rd intake. So there aren't going to be thousands come forward. But if hundreds of students came forward, we would make sure that we looked after them. That is our absolute sort of mission with that university, to ensure that whoever comes forward, we make sure we look after them. The idea of this university was to disrupt the conventional university, where you have basically an individual coming forward and you say, oh, you're not good enough to come in here. No, let's interview you first. because you can get really good people, fantastic people with great work ethics who want to do well in life, who might not have loads of A's in their armour from GCSEs, and we have to look after those people as well as the people obviously who've got straight A's.
Because there is so much more to a person than their grades, isn't there?
Honestly, I say, we have businesses in Greater Manchester that employ 600 people. I never once ask anybody for their certificate. I talk to them, and you can feel a passion, a commitment, a loyalty, an understanding of whether we're going to do well together. And actually, it's those sort of social aspects that make me, be fair, employ people. Can I get on with them? Do I want to work with them? Have they got the same work ethic? Would I go for a drink with them after? The real basics of, have they got a good personality, a good character, have they got a good energy? And when I think about sort of Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United team, there were better right backs than me. There were better central midfield players maybe than, say, Nicky Butt, or maybe better left backs than Phil Neville or Darren Fletcher, people who sort of what would be contributed to a great team ethos. You don't necessarily always have to have the greatest talent like a Cristiano Ronaldo or a Paul Scholes. You can be someone who's got less talent but have a great work ethic and still succeed. And I think that's what we try and do at UA92.
I can't let this interview finish without asking you about Jamie Carragher, because you're always...
Do you have to ruin this interview?
Well, you're always having a go at each other, but you love each other really, don't you?
We respect each other, and like you say, we come from very different not very different backgrounds, actually similar backgrounds in some way, but very different cities when it comes to football, with great rivalry. But he's got a good work ethic, he loves football, he wants to do well, and for that, ultimately, and also we can be honest with each other. We can be honest with each other, and actually we can make mistakes, own up to them. We can be honest with each other and get on with it straight after the show. Like a great team would work, where there's accountability, we work well together, we bounce off each other, and yeah, it has been enjoyable the last 5 or 6 years. It'll come to an end one day. It won't be the... I don't think I'll shed a tear when we're not working together anymore, but it will be something that I'll look back upon with great fondness.
But you talk about the importance of working together well as a team. That's what that's about, having that respect for each other. Oh,
absolutely. You have to, you don't always have to be the very best of friends in a team, and I think that's the same in society. But you have to respect that other people have different views than you, and you have to tolerate those views. You have to tolerate the fact that he supports a different football club than I do, and that I support a different football club. Absolutely.
The world needs more banter.
It does. It needs more tolerance. And like you say, I grew up in a dressing room with people from different backgrounds, different religions, from all around the world, but we had an aligned goal that we would look after each other on the pitch and do well together. And that's why when we work together on television, we make sure we deliver the best possible programme that we can, and then everything's forgotten about in that period.
So would you go for a drink with Jamie after work?
We sometimes do, just through necessarily the fact that we're going back to the same hotel, and it's awkward if we don't go for a drink together really rather than we really want to. I'm only joking, I do like him really.
You've actually said quite a few nice things about him.
Have I? What have I said?
Gary Neville, it's so good to see you on
Thank
Ronaldo
you.
Reports. Thank you.
Good to be here, thank you.